Okay, what is happening, Cucumber Squad, and welcome back to the Fable Sphere and a new segment in our Fable Sphere called Let's Talk About It. Now, the reason I created this segment specifically for this channel is to talk about a myriad of different topics that I feel passionately about, that I feel that I can share my thoughts on. Now, this particular topic today is slightly political. There will be some political topics. Some topics will not be political, but this one is. And more specifically, it's about Whoopi Goldberg as well as her anti-Semitic comment that she made just a few days ago. Now, I'm going to try and deliver my thought process on this as coherent and as cogent as possible. I have written this all down and I'm going to try and deliver it for you as best I can. Now, I believe that in order to unpack this objectively, there should be 4 crucial questions that we need to answer when it comes to this story. Number 1, was her comments fair or was it ignorant? Number 2, is Whoopi Goldberg anti-Semitic? That's an interesting question that we need to answer. And number 3, why did she say these comments? And obviously number 4, should she be cancelled for what she said? Now, with regards to that last question, my short answer would be no. But also, yes. I'll reveal more about my thought processes soon enough, but actually, let's begin with the actual story. So what exactly happened and how did the saga begin? For those who aren't aware or for those who need a recap, well, here it is.
Breaking news overnight. The View co-host Whoopi Goldberg suspended for 2 weeks for her comments about the Holocaust. Ariel Reshev has the story. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, George. Though Goldberg has apologized, her comments sparked a firestorm, some seeing this as a troubling sign of fading understanding about the horrors of the Holocaust.
This morning, ABC News suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks in response to her inflammatory remarks about the Holocaust. ABC News President Kim Godwin saying in a statement, effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. The entire ABC News organization stands in solidarity with our Jewish colleagues, friends, family, and communities.
If you're going to do this, then let's be truthful about it, because the Holocaust isn't about race.
On Monday's show, the host of ABC's The View inaccurately claimed the Holocaust was not related to race.
It's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Okay, so as you can see and hear, the comment that was made was a little bizarre. But let's put all the noise aside and dive straight into question number 1, which is, was it a fair comment to say, or was it just plain outright ignorant? Now, the short and long answer of that is yes, it absolutely was not a fair comment to say, and yes, it absolutely was an ignorant comment. However, I believe that she believes that this was fair, because it seems that she has a different perception on race. Her statement seems to imply that race is only skin deep, and you're only classified or categorized as a different race of people so long and so far as she can see it. Race isn't immediately present to her unless there is a different shade in skin color, thus then leading to her formulated hypothesis that the Holocaust was just some white-on-white kerfuffle. By this logic, I would hate to hear Whoopi Goldberg's dichotomy of the Chinese genocidal atrocities currently being inflicted on the Uyghurs, but I digress. The point here is that the Jewish people were and absolutely are a different race of people. Hitler himself believed this to be true as well, only that he felt that they were a far less superior race and thus needed to be exterminated. Which was indeed, and I quote Whoopi Goldberg here, man's inhumanity to man. But the latter man in her statement, right, was seen as inferior and thus not part of the Aryan race. He didn't consider them a significant race at all, just weeds among a superiority of people that needed to be pulled from beneath the societal bricks and discarded. The Holocaust was only one of many events whereby another race of people tried to marginalize, oppress, and eradicate Jews. Except this particular one stood out amongst many because 6 million Jews were exterminated under the snouts of major world players as they were preoccupied in the throes of war. The Holocaust was not the only time that the Jews were persecuted, though. They had been persecuted as a people for centuries prior to this major event, and yet still were for many years afterwards until this very day. And for the exact reasons that Whoopi shares in her sentiment, that they are not a race of people. They're just like any other that looks like them. Now, in Rwanda, the minority Tutsi community were the same color as the Hutus, but the Hutu-led government sought to eradicate the Tutsi race as well. Is this also to be deemed non-racial? Well, by Whoopi's logic, that would seem to be the suggestion. But let's get on to question 2. Is Whoopi Goldberg anti-Semitic? Very important question, and my answer would be no. I don't believe that she is. I mean, her second name is Goldberg, right? I mean, how could she be? Well, that at least seems to be some of the reasoning by some of the people that are defending her, which is obviously ludicrous. I believe that her statement came off as anti-Semitic because it came from an ignorant, ill-informed place, which became even more evident and more apparent to me when she decided to double down on her bizarre statement on the Stephen Colbert show. Take a look.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Goldberg appearing to double down on the Colbert show that night.
The American experience tends to be based on skin.
Yes. And so that is what race means to me. When you talk about being a racist, I was saying you can't call this racism. This was evil. This wasn't based on the skin. You couldn't tell who was Jewish. They had to delve deeply to figure it out.
Okay, now, I don't believe Whoopi Goldberg knows, or at the very least understands, what the Holocaust was exactly, or why an evil dictator needed to herd innocent Jews, which included women and children, into gas chambers in the first place. It wasn't some fundamental disagreement. This wasn't the battle of ideologies. It was one of the parties decided that the other was insignificant and should be eradicated for the perceived betterment of the world. They were a race of people that an evil despot took upon himself to ensure would be eliminated, erased, and removed from being among other races. Thank God he didn't succeed at that. And no, for the Jews, skin color didn't play a role in Hitler's decision, but it also doesn't invalidate their race, and neither does it invalidate the ability of others to be racist towards them. But okay, why did she say it then? Why exactly did Whoopi Goldberg say such a pathetic, erroneous statement? Because the ever-growing ideology of our modern-day legacy media and politicians seek to create these divisions by redefining what it means to be racist. Racism has become an ever-expanding network of one-way streets, whereby there are no off-ramps, no side roads, and nowhere leading to the rationality square. You go where they tell you to go, or else they revoke your license and the ability for you to travel around the city at all. A white person is always racist unless he or she inflicts an injustice on a person of who he or she shares a skin color with, and so long as they are not a part of a pre-approved minority group. White hatred towards other white groups, well, that can't be racist, and Jews fall in that category because they share the same skin color, even though they are a minority group in themselves. Jews are also successful, so they are pigeonholed into a white privilege category with other white people, even when the Holocaust is the topic of conversation. Now, this is not how everybody thinks about it, but it is how the legacy media wants you to think about it. They play this card as a positional good, and the intention is for this ideology to spread far and wide. So when people ask, why would Whoopi Goldberg say such a thing? It's not because she herself is a bad person or that she is anti-Semitic. I truly don't believe that she is. It's because in today's legacy media and their legacy media standards, her job requires her to do so. Which brings me to my final point. I told you this would be a short video. Should Whoopi Goldberg be cancelled? should she be cancelled for such a stupid statement? Well, by my standards, and by the constitutional standards, absolutely not. I personally don't believe she should have even been suspended. I think that she should have gone back to work the next day, made her apology, and gotten on with business as usual. Human beings make mistakes and say stupid things, and nobody is exempt of that. But we no longer operate by my standards or by the constitutional standards. We operate by hers and by the standards of the people that she works for, and by their own logic, dignity, and moral fortitude by which they justify these standards, and to which they have already destroyed a multitude of people's lives for uttering mere words. Whoopi's career and life, as she knows it, should now be yanked from the public square forever. She has now left an irrevocable stain on our progressive and all-inclusive society, and the punishment should match the crime. A 2-week suspension is a slap in the face to the people that she's offended. However, people on her side of the aisle and in her camp are calling for people to be tolerant and merciful. Well, I would be. And so would the majority of people. But we didn't make the rules. You did. And we'll leave it there. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.